Welcome to ReThink You, bringing you ideas, inspiration, and motivation to start living the life you were created to live. Here is your host, author, trainer, speaker, and coach, and founder of ReThink You, Kim Levings.
Well, hi there. It's Kim Levings with the ReThink You podcast, and welcome back. This is episode 109, and it's my pleasure to interview today Eseverere Akara, who is originally from Nigeria. Welcome, Eseverere.
Thank you so much, Kim. Thank you so much for inviting me to this podcast. I am so happy and excited to be here. I'm glad to be featured on this week's episode.
Great. Well, thank you. Let me tell the audience a little about you that, Eseverere is a passionate speaker and a business coach and an entrepreneur. She is most known for her voice and her story to inspire, motivate, and empower people to stay positive, dream big, live an intentional life, and fulfill their purpose. And I know firsthand that she is living that purpose. So I can't wait for you to hear her story. Eseverere is also the host and founder of her own podcast, The 5 to 9 CEO, and she uses her channel to inspire career professionals and everyday people, teaching that it's possible to transition from what I call the 9 to 5 grind into full-time entrepreneurship. Eseverere believes in being resilient towards your goals, and she's been attracting many audiences and impacting lives, which stems from her passion, drive, and commitment. Wow, what a tee up. So Eseverere, tell us your story. How did you get started on this journey?
Thank you for that great question, Kim. So first of all, I am known as Eseverere, and I like to be called AKA the 5 to 9 CEO. How I started on the journey was kind of a little bit interesting. It started from a place of me being, initially, I was trying to be creative. That was how I started. I wanted to be creative. Like, you just mentioned, I turned around the 9 to 5 grind, and I started to go creative with it. I put it on a drawing board. I started to ask myself questions. So it came from a place of curiosity. I looked at my current state, and even though I was comfortable, I knew that for me to make impact, for me to create impact, I had to get out of my comfort zone. So I've always been that person that does not I don't like to settle. Every time things seem comfortable, I'm always looking for more. I'm always pushing myself for more, because it's when you go for more, that's when you can stand out. And so that was how I placed the 9 to 5 on the drawing board. I looked at the future, because a wise man will always look into the future, right? So I looked into the future and I asked myself, I am right now currently on this job. This job is paying me well. They're great, there's a great, if you look at the landmark, it looks beautiful, right? But is this where I want to be? Is this where I want to spend the next 30 something years of my life? Until maybe when I'm about 65 or 70 years old? What happens then? Will I be happy with the life that I have at that particular point in time? And so that's when I got very curious. And of course, I started to take statistics and started to look at everything, people around me. There's some people I spoke to directly, and there's some people I just sat down and observed, because it's always good for you to also observe. And I quickly realized that this was not a place that, the place that I was not a place that I wanted to be in. And that's when, the innovative mind in me started to think, do I have to wait for me to live the life that I want to live? Is there anything that I can do now so that I can start walking towards that life? Those were the questions that, as I lay on my bed, I would ask myself before I sleep at night. After I say my prayers, I started to ask God for direction. I knew that if I wanted to live a certain life in future, I had to take bold step right now. And that's when I just, started to, play around with it. And I asked some of my friends. Of course, I go to work, and while on my job, I just felt that unease. Like, I felt I wasn't called out to have a job. I mean, some people are happy having jobs, but I felt there was more within me, and I wanted to give out more. I just felt that urge. And, when the pandemic, fast forward to 2020, during the pandemic, everybody was home, and I came up again with I'm this person that loves to be very, very positive. I like to see things from the brighter side. I'm aware of the things that are around me, but I'm not stuck. I don't let those things consume me, just so that I can have a very great energy, right? And so during the pandemic, I thought of something and I said, you know what, this would be a very great time since we are all home. Let me go online and begin to give value online. The little that I have, let me begin to share with people online. And that's how I tweaked the 9 to 5 and made it a 5 to 9, because I believe that if you are hungry for a different life, if you know that you want to be your own boss. When we say be your own boss, I mean, you want to go into full-time entrepreneurship, but for some reason you can't do it right now. And so you're kind of limited with the time, right? Your employer pays you for your 9 to 5. And like I always emphasize, 9 to 5 can be any hours for you. It can be your 7 to 7. It can be your 12 a.m. to 6 p.m. It can be anything. But the time that you give to your employer, you can just turn the other time around. So my employer, I looked at it this way. My employer pays me for 9 to 5. Whatever I do from 5 to 9, it's all on me. It depends on me. And that, if I am very deliberate and intentional about that time, then that can lead me to the life that I'm trying to go to. So that was how this whole 5 to 9 CEO concept came up. And that was how the journey started.
I know. Well, it's so wonderful that you actually stepped out and did something with that hunger and with that vision. I know that, my experience has been there are so many people who don't give into that voice and they just keep in the 9 to 5. And as you say, suddenly they wake up much later in life and it's not where they want to be. I really like what you said about the landmark too, Eseverere. I like to draw attention to what my guests say, because I know that as a podcast listener, many times we miss the important gems. So I like to repeat them. And I love what you said about the landmark, saying sometimes the landmarks themselves are beautiful, but it's not where you want to end your journey. Exactly. So that is just great. And I'm sure it hasn't always been a bed of roses. So maybe we go back a little and say, tell us a little bit more about your journey and, perhaps some of the setbacks and the challenges that you've had to overcome that have made you who you are today. Because I know we don't get born with that positive mindset. It takes hard work.
Exactly. It takes a lot of conscious, deliberate hard work to get your mind to think positively and to maintain it in that state. So a little bit about about some of the challenges that I've had or some of the setback. Actually, the 5 to 9 CEO was bedded from setback. Okay. So what I do is I start, this was the focus at the beginning was to go online and show people how they can, like, people that are frustrated, people that are tired, they have a business, they're building a business, but they can't find people anymore. Especially before the coronavirus or before the pandemic happened, people were associating with people were attending parties, people were hosting parties, people were traveling all around the world. And all of a sudden it looked like people couldn't move around anymore. And, there were physical interaction was limited. And so my aim was to go online to show people that it's still possible for you to meet people. Like, you don't physically have to be there to meet people. You can turn what we call in business your cold market into your warm market. So, but I wanted to be that example for my team, because I also have a network marketing business on the side that I do. I have various businesses because I'm a business coach and I'm also a business consultant. And one of the things I do in my network marketing business is to build my team. And so a lot of people started to complain, and I wanted to be that solution. I wanted to show them that it was possible to make new friends or build new relationship online. And how do you do that? You go online and you get people to know you. So you're not coming from a place of just, what can I get from this person? It should be, what can I give to them? So lead from a place of value. And so I started to lead from a place of value. I started to educate people on what I know. I knew that I didn't have to wait to know I didn't have to be perfect. Sometimes we think we don't know anything, but there's something, like I always mention, there's something in everybody. Even if it's just you, there's always people most times they just get too hard on themselves. They're like, you know what, I can't be an authority in anything because I feel I don't know anything. I just have my children, I just have my husband. No, but you go through, there are different things that you go through in life. There are different processes that you pass through in life. So there's definitely something that somebody reaches out to you for. That thing is where you have your strength. So it's more of concentrating on your strength. So what I did is I just picked some topics that I knew that I was good at, and I started to share. And as soon as I started to share on those topics, I started to become an authority in that line. And what that did for me was it gave me the opportunity for people to begin to know me, remember? And then as people, that opened the door for awareness. People, started to realize that, oh, there's Eseverere, when you need this, just, go to her page, you'll be able to get some information. When I want to, I like, for instance, let me take something as simple as Facebook Live. A lot of people say, how do you do Facebook Live? Like you just, some people are just scared, just turning on the camera. So I felt, okay, you know what, I can come online and share how, because it comes natural for me, right? But everybody is not like that. And somebody may need that too, right? So I came online one day and I shared how to do Facebook Live in a genuine way, in an authentic way. And I shared easy steps that people could relate with, how to position your camera, what to look at when you're looking at the camera, just so that you can be more positioned and things like that, right? So my everyday friends, or they even found it very helpful. Then I also posted it in a group where people did not know me, but a lot of people started to reach out to me. You know what, when you shared your video, because of the way you shared it and just because of the way you made it fun, like I didn't make it look like I was doing something serious, but of course there was a lot of value that people got from it, right? And so I started to share on simple topics like that. And what that did for me was it opened the doors of opportunity for people to know me. And as a result, as they watch those videos, some of them are contacting me, and some of them are like, okay, you know what, I have several businesses, but I need somebody to give me direction. And that was how I started to, do business consulting, right? So you see, just from one step, you're opening other doors, right? And so that from there, people started to like me because they could relate with my story. They could relate with some of the things that I was sharing with them. And guess what? It wasn't now a problem when I pitch them with my business. So that's what I'm trying to teach people. Like, you don't necessarily have to, just sit back and just allow all the negativity get to you. There's always a way if you want to. It all depends on you, right? It's just a simple know, like, and trust. And this applies to any kind of business. I don't care what business you're doing all over the world, any type of business you're doing. The first thing you want to do is you want to get your name out there so that people can know you. People do it, even people that run ads. Why are they running ads? They want people to know them. And you notice when those ads keep coming to your phone, what happens? One day you'll be like, okay, you know what? This is getting my attention, right? And that's how you develop interest. And before you know what's happening, you're clicking on the ad and you're doing business with them. So it's just the same principle and the same concept that works. So that's how I started to share with people. And it's something that I enjoy. I love to share. I love to build relationship. And I think the pandemic even made it sweeter for me. So while, like I always say, bless the hearts of those that lost their loved ones during the pandemic. But for me, I feel like the pandemic was more of an open doors of opportunity for me, because I got to meet people from all over the world. Like, I have been meeting people, and and that is one thing that I love, is my hobby. But the fact that I can do it just from the screen has been an amazing experience, Kim.
Yeah, no, it's fabulous. Thank you so much for that, because it's something I say as well, is that COVID has given people like you and me opportunities that before perhaps we ignored. And I said, in many ways, it's kind of forced us into action at a time when everyone else has gone into reverse gear or shut down. So as you think about this, Eseverere, what would you say were some of the core values that you live by? If we go deeper and say, who is the person behind all of this cool stuff? When you get up in the morning, what are some sort of non-negotiable values that you live by that you'd like to share with the audience?
Wow, that's an interesting question, Kim. Thank you. Thank you once again for that. So some of the core values that I want to share, number one will be my faith. Okay. A lot of times people see me and I get a lot of positive feedback. Of course, not everybody will like you. That's one thing we have to, get that straight on the board very early. Not everybody, and that's natural, right? You're not going to resonate with everybody, but the people that you're going to resonate, you definitely have people that you resonate with. So one thing that I know that a lot of people have come back to me and they try to find out, like, what's this secret? Like, what keeps you so happy? What keeps you bubbling? Like, and it's no other secret than my faith, right? One thing that would not change, no matter how people treat me, no matter how my business goes, no matter how my day goes, is my faith. I have a very strong faith. I believe so much in God, and He is my source of strength. Like, I do a lot of personal development. I have a lot of people that I follow, but guess what? They are linked to God. If they're not connected to God, then there's a disconnect somewhere. So my faith is something that will never change. It stays, like, I hold on to God because He's my source. He's my strength. He's been everything to me. And when I say everything, He's been my teacher. He's been my guide. Like, the kind of things, I have a personal relationship with Him that is this daughter-father relationship. And I don't even treat Him as God. I treat Him as if He's sitting here with me right now, like He's with us. Like, I talk to Him. That's the kind of relationship that I have. And even when I have difficulties, even when I have challenges, like going back to, some of the challenges I had with the 5 to 9 CEO initially, when I was in my network marketing company, I started to build my company and it didn't go right. At some point I couldn't put in the time that I needed because of the time that it was taking me on my job. So I built my business so fast, and then after a while it slowed down, which was a very major challenge. And guess what? When I'm talking about my challenge to God, I just say, like, okay, you know what? I don't have time to do this right now. I hope you're going to give me time. I talk to Him like He's my earthly father, right? So my faith is something, a value that nobody can take away from me. Something that I guide jealously. Another value I have is my integrity. I want to be somebody that's say what they mean and mean what they say, right? So because I know a lot of people are watching, sometimes people say something, but their actions, how they say actions speak louder than voice. I don't want there to be a disconnect. I want, if you see Eseverere today, Eseverere told you this, like, I'll come back tomorrow, I'm saying the same thing. I'm standing for whatever it is that I'm saying, right? I love integrity, and I want to be known for a woman for integrity, right? Another value I might want to mention here is my authenticity. I am myself. It's always good to be yourself. You don't have to be anybody else, okay? Kim, you and I may have the same goal, but the way you're going to go about your goal and the way I'll go about my goal comes from our uniqueness, because there are no two me's and there are no two Kims, right? So you are unique, and you have to always embrace your authenticity, okay? If you are a natural, fun, jovial person, it will show in everything that you are doing. Even if you're doing business, even if they wake you up in the morning, even if you're exercising, you understand what I mean? But if you're not that person, you can't be another person, and you can't be looking at another person. Like they say, the grass always looks greener on the other side, but you don't know what that person is doing. That person is just embracing his or her uniqueness. So I love to be authentic. Like, it's just me. I say this sometimes jokingly, like, I don't know how to pretend. I wish I can pretend, but that's just me. Like, I see fun in everything that I'm doing. In fact, if there's no fun, I easily get bored. So I try to create fun, even if there's no fun, right? So I will leave you with those three.
That's fabulous. No, that is so good, because I think that, the reason I ask that question is many times we hear stories like yours and other people that I interview, and, we say, oh, this is the life they've created. This is what's so good about them, but we don't know the person behind that. And people who walk in line with their values, it just shines through because it's your anchor. And it's interesting that, you said your faith, and faith, I think, is also the cornerstone to building success and personal development. As I say in ReThink, to become the best you that God created you to be. So tell us a little about what you do about your own personal development. What investments do you make to become the best person you can be in everything that you're doing? Because I know that too takes some hard work, and you're committed to that journey. So share some of the things that you've learned about your own personal development.
Thank you. So recently I was sharing in my last interview, I mentioned that the best investment that you can do the best investment that you can have is the investment on you, because all other investments, something might happen to them, right? You can put your investment in real estate, as wonderful as that industry is. Nobody knows what will happen. Imagine what happened during the pandemic, right? Even though it favored the real estate company. But what I'm just using that example to say is the best investment is the investment in you, and the investment in you cannot be taken away from you, and it can't be too much. That's what I'm trying to emphasize here. So this year especially, I've been doing a lot of investment because I'm always looking for ways to improve myself, right? Like I told you, I'm somebody that is very, very strategic, and I look into the future a lot. I'm thinking, if I want to be this person I'm seeing in my future, if I have to get there, then I have to improve myself right now, right? I can't take yesterday's blessing into tomorrow's, if I can use that illustration. And so I started to fish for ways to improve myself. And even when I got online with the 5 to 9 CEO concept, I started to think, how do I improve myself? How can I bring more value to my audience? Because you can't remain the same, or else tomorrow you won't be able to catch up by tomorrow, because the world is constantly changing. And so that got me, hungry. And I became a part of the Les Brown Power Voice program, which of course, that led me to my speaking. I wanted to polish my speaking abilities, right? I've always known how to speak. I tell people, because recently somebody asked me, "You've always been talking." I said, "Yes," but I wanted to know how to package the way I was talking. Like, I didn't just want to talk just for fun, right? I wanted to learn the professionalism behind speaking, and also to monetize my speaking. Because when I heard that Les Brown was going to help me monetize my speaking, I felt I've been speaking for free all my life. Like, and, being a businesswoman, I was like, oh my God, really? I can monetize my speaking. Like, I can get paid to speak. That kind of really, really encouraged me. And it was a great motivator for me. But I'm somebody that loves to inspire people a lot. And if you're going to be inspire people, and my goal is to inspire people all around the world, I wanted to get myself ready for the big stages that I'm walking into. And so that took me to the Power Voice program. And of course, that was an open door for me. That led me, I was selected gratefully. I was selected. I was part of the Power Voice Summit 2. Kim, I know you were part of Power Voice Summit 3. So blessed to be chosen to represent, the team, which happened to share the stage with Les Brown, which was a very, very exciting moment, because that program alone opened doors of opportunities that I'm still enjoying till date, right? And of course, while in that, I realized that I needed to take it a step further. And so I joined the Thinking into Result program, Bob Proctor, where John Talarico happened to be our coach, right? Mm-hmm. And so what that program has done for me is it's been able to open my eyes to see possibilities. Prior to joining the Les Brown's program, I was also in another marketing program. And all this is because I've been working on developing myself, right? I'm in a marketing program. It's called Attraction Marketing. That's a very huge marketing company where I'm learning the concepts of marketing, where teaching us how to attract audience, So you see, all these things is aligned. Like, I'm aligning all the programs that I'm doing, or all the courses that I'm doing, just so that I can be very, very focused. So Thinking into Result has expanded my mind. It showed me the possibility of how you can collapse time. It showed me how to take away limitation, because at the end of the day, all these things that we want to achieve plays the major role that we have here is our mindset, right? So if you don't have your mindset right, it can hinder you from all these dreams and aspirations that we have. A lot of people have dreams. They may not be able to accomplish those dreams or even start on those dreams at all. And unfortunately, some people will take those dreams to the grave. But what Thinking in Result has helped me, coupled with the Les Brown's program, has helped me to see that I can, I shouldn't have, nothing should limit me, basically, right? Which kind of ties back to my faith, like I said, right? It ties back to my faith, because the Bible says that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. You say those things that are not as though they were. And that's what thinking into result is. And that's what thinking result has been opening my mind to. First of all, it had to deal with the limiting beliefs. Some of these thoughts that we had growing up, like for me, I'm personally, I'm originally from West Africa, Nigeria. I have a lot of, growing up back home, I had a lot of limiting beliefs. I didn't even know they were called limiting beliefs. Funny enough, right. I didn't know. I just knew recently, as during the course of personal development. To be frank, I never knew that they were limiting beliefs. There were just some things growing up, and it wasn't like it was the fault of my parents or the fault of my family or people around me. It was just, when it was just inborn. Let me put it that way, right? It's just you are used.
That's the environment that you grew up in.
Exactly, the environment. So it's taking a lot of the Thinking into Result program has helped me to reprogram my mind, reprogram my thinking. And the only way you can get new ideas and new concepts and be able to run with this concept and be able to dream big. And sometimes we think we're dreaming big, but we're actually dreaming small. And I am very grateful for Thinking into Result that made me realize that my goal, like all these years, what I've had as my goal has actually not really been a goal per se, right? They said if your goal does not scare you, then it's not big enough, right? I didn't really understand what that meant until I got into Thinking into Result, and the way it has blown my mind, and I have just been a better person. I'm still growing, and we're not even there yet, right? But there's just been so much transformation, and I know you're part of this too, Kim. So I'm really very excited about this new journey for us.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I was so engrossed. I needed to clear my throat. So thank you for that. So now, in full disclosure, Eseverere and I are in the same mastermind groups, and we're both learning the same things, but it's powerful. And I think that what I say in ReThink is that if your thinking is at the root of everything, and if you want to achieve greatness in your life, it does take rethinking you. So the programs fit in well. I'm glad that you hit on that, because often those self-limiting beliefs they are constraints. As you said, it's nobody's fault. It's just what happens in our minds, and it takes effort. I say, the default system is to go to the negative and the self-doubt. And as you said, take our dreams to the grave, because we don't really believe in ourselves. But that self-belief and confidence takes a daily focus. And I think you've really emphasized that's been the turnaround point for you, is that extreme commitment to personal development. And I know from my own story that we can be positive and committed to our personal development, and we still have bad days. We're not perfect. Sure. So, in the spirit of vulnerability and sort of openness, could you think of one tough experience or one challenge that you continually have to talk yourself off the ledge about? Maybe a lie that keeps coming up, or a life challenge that you overcame that maybe somebody else is going through and they could learn from you?
Yes. So one challenge is the limiting belief. One major challenge, like I have so many limiting beliefs that I've been fighting with, right? So sometimes I tell myself, one major thing that I would think about is, if I even want to go further than the limiting belief, is procrastination.
Yes.
So the procrastination, they say, is the thief of time, right? There will never be a right time for anything. And that's when we hide under this umbrella of procrastination. I'll do it later. I don't have to do it now. I'll leave it till tomorrow. There's some things that you have to do. That you will do tomorrow. You plan to do it tomorrow. Actually, it's been in your calendar for months that you will do it, that you have that thing tomorrow, but you just will not get ready for it. That's me. Right. I keep pushing to tomorrow what I should do today. And as I'm speaking with you, it's something that I'm still battling with, because it's like I said, it's inborn. I've been doing it. I've gotten used to it. I mean, I have kids. My kids are 11 and 13-year-old, but sometimes, just this morning, my son said, I'm trying to remember the particular instance. So what we said, I think I was talking about, I wanted him to clean the pantry. And I said, I want you to clean that pantry. He said, Mom, you said you're going to help me. And I said, yeah, but not today. I'll help you tomorrow. And he said, oh, you keep saying tomorrow because we never get to it, right? So I've seen that. That's something. And think about it, it's really a thief of time, because if you do today what you're going to do tomorrow, when tomorrow comes, you have more things to do and you'll be able to achieve more things, right?
Yes.
But procrastination is something that I'm battling with seriously. I'm working on it. I'm getting better at it for sure, because of all this personal development that I'm doing right now. My eyes are being opened because I'm realizing that I'm not doing myself any good, right? So that's me, and I'm working on it. And another thing I can mention is like the 5 to 9 CEO thing. I was saying, okay, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to leave my job. I'm going to get out of it. I'm going to start this, but I've been taking some drastic steps in that end. So I know I'm fighting it and I'm working on it. And that's the whole essence. We are all a work in progress.
Yes, we are. We are all that beautifully imperfect people, right?
Exactly.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure many people will identify. And I like that, don't put off to tomorrow what you can do today, because tomorrow's going to have enough trouble of its own. I think Jesus said something about that too.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day will always bring challenges with it.
Bring its own challenge, its own unique challenge.
Right. It's been such a pleasure, Eseverere. So as we wrap up here, what one thing would you like to give the learners as the takeaway? What nugget of learning or something that you'd like them to remember having listened to you, that they will go and tell somebody else, say, you know what, I heard this amazing thing on the podcast. What would that be?
One thing I want to share is life is a risk. There are a lot of risks in life. But the worst risk that you can think about is the risk of doing nothing. Sometimes, because of all the issues and the pressures of life, we feel like stopping. We feel like just giving up, especially in this season, especially with all that 2020 came with. It's very easy to throw in the towel and say, you know what, this is not working. It's working for Eseverere, it's working for Kim, but I don't see how it can work for me. I'm doing the same things that they're talking about, but I'm not getting the same result. I don't want you to stop. You have to keep pushing. You have to keep going, because if you give in, that's when it's over. You can't afford to give in. You can't afford to throw in the towel. If you're listening to this podcast, you need to think, rethink you. That name has a purpose in it. Rethink you. You need to step up your game. You can't afford to give up. You can't afford to sit back from that setback. A lot of people are trying to come back from a setback, but they sit back. Please don't sit back. Get up and keep moving. Les Brown, the godfather of motivation himself, who happens to be my mentor. And I also want to chip in here. If you don't have a mentor, please get a mentor. If you don't have a coach, please get a coach. Because sometimes people are looking at the money, you're looking at the expense. I'm sure I wouldn't have gotten this far if not for my mentors and coaches that I've had along the way. So sometimes that money can replace the strength. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Right. And going back to that Les Brown's quote, it says that if life knocks you down, just ensure that you land on your back, because if you can look up, then you can get up again. It doesn't matter how many times you fail. I have been failing. Actually, I have been learning in my failure. I choose to smile. I choose to remain positive, because I'm just that person that when I see the negative, I consciously and deliberately look for the positive 1% that is working. And I elaborate on the 1%. I don't care about the 99% that is failing. I elaborate on the 1%, and that keeps me happy. That keeps me going. That keeps me smiling. Don't let life consume you. You can live life happy. Thank you, Kim.
Oh, that's powerful. Thank you. Thank you for the gift of that, because that is just, I want to write that down myself as a daily reminder. Thank you for that. But life is a risk, and, failure is the school of success. And too many people sit back when they should be stepping up. So thank you for that. And
Thank you.
what a pleasure. I hope this has blessed the listeners as much as it has me. I've had very little need to interject with questions or comments. It's just been powerful, Eseverere. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you so much for this podcast. It's needed for such a time as this. Please don't stop. Keep going. I know sometimes it can be discouraging, like you're going to find times where you don't feel like it. But please don't stop showing up. We need your
Right.
voice now.
Right.
Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate you for having
Take
me.
care. God
Bye.
bless. Bye.